Did your favorite group or soloists win at the Mama 2020s? Let's take a look at one of Asia's largest music shows and the lessons I learned from the event, as well as K-pop overall in 2020. So it's been a little while since the Mamas took place. I wanted to give a little bit of time before talking about the Mamas. Now the Mamas, or the Mnet Asian Music Awards, is one of the largest music shows in East and Southeast Asia. The show draws a whole bunch of groups and soloists to compete in a variety of categories. Now the big draw of the show that most fans care the most about is called the Daesang Awards, or the Grand Prize Awards. And at the Mama 2020s, there's 4 of these awards. Now for the K-pop fans that just came here for me to gush about their favorites such as BTS, IU, 17, or Blackpink, don't worry, I'm gonna get to that soon enough. But for now, I want to talk about the show itself. Now the actual name of the event, the Mnet Asian Music Awards, was always weird to me. And the reason why is the event is pretty much all K-pop acts. The show should honestly just be called the Mnet K-pop Music Awards. Now the show does mention non-K-pop acts and gives awards to them, and also gives awards to non-Korean staff and producers and choreographers, but pretty much for the most part, everyone that watches the Mamas are there for K-pop. It's pretty much understood that the show is a huge K-pop fest. And there's nothing wrong if the Mamas want to do that, but the name itself, the Mnet Asian Music Awards, is quite misleading. And I do think the 6-hour award show can find more time to highlight these non-Korean acts and to celebrate Asian music, not just K-pop. And I think that if the show wants to be taken seriously as the Asian Grammy Awards, that it does need to take that role into promoting more Asian artists that are not just Korean. Moving on, the Mamas were not immune to COVID or Corona. And because of COVID this year, the 2020 Mamas was restricted solely to South Korea, and for one day. The event was all virtual with no audience, so the crowd noise had to be pumped up. And I did notice that during the event that the show workers would often wipe down the mics and make sure that the area was sanitized. And lastly, before we get to the meat of this, the Mamas would also represent the first time in 5 years that all the major labels were here, including the big 3. Now moving on to the Mama voting, and you really just can't please everyone when it comes to music show awards voting. Now I'm gonna say this straight up, the Mamas voting system was handled quite well. I thought it was quite fair. And I know this might get some K-pop fans irate or say that it's not fair, that their favorites didn't win, but the way that the show broke down the voting, they combined it both fan voting, social media, as well as just judges only. And I think that perfect blend is needed, because if you just have all the categories being dictated by fan voting and social media and views only the tier 1 groups are gonna win, the ones with the biggest and most passionate fan bases. And it just really just comes down to a popularity contest. And I think the Mamas, if you want to be taken seriously as the Asian Grammys, you just can't have a music awards based on sheer popularity. People won't take it seriously. So I think the Mamas were very smart in doing this. As you can see on this chart, the online voting in various categories ranged from 20 to 30%, with the worldwide icon of the year being a fans voting section, with 60% coming from online voting. And as I mentioned earlier, the social media counts and global MV view counts, which are also heavily dictated by fans, are kept in check. And the prestigious album of the year, as well as best music video of the year, did not have fan voting at all, which I agree with 100%. So if you're a K-pop fan that feels a bit upset or even angry that your favorite K-pop group didn't win, just take note that it's hard for the Mamas to have a fair voting system that pleases everyone. Basically, they can't please everyone. Someone's always going to get mad. But I think this was the best voting system that balanced both fan participation, social media accounts, as well as professional judges. So for Mnet, I would stick to your voting guidelines and don't listen to what some salty K-pop fans might think. Now, it's time to talk about some BTS. You don't need me to tell you that they continue to dominate the end of the year music awards. Just a few days before the Mamas was the Melon Music Awards, and unsurprisingly, BTS swept that show as well. They would get Daesang Awards at Album of the Year, the Song of the Year, as well as the Netizens' Choice Award. The 2020 Mamas, a couple days later, would be no different. BTS was pretty much K-pop royalty during that event, sweeping all 4 Daesang Awards of the show. They won Best Song of the Year, Album of the Year, Artist of the Year, and Worldwide Icon of the Year. Overall, they won a staggering 8 music awards and showed such dominance at a music event that very few groups have ever done. When BTS member Suga couldn't make the show because of a shoulder injury, the Mamas did something cool. They brought Suga to the show instead. They had a hologram during one of the performances, and during one of the many BTS acceptance awards, Suga was called via phone to give the speech. For each of the awards, BTS constantly thanked their fan base, also known as the ARMY, and to say that they wouldn't be there without them. As J-Hope would say, a big thanks to the ARMY, who are all watching right now. It's without question that BTS has always been good to their fans, and this is really just mind-blowing how impressive their career has been and how it keeps on rising with each continuous year. They're on year 8, and they're one of the few K-pop groups that are still just rising. They're not just relevant, but they keep breaking new records. They keep appearing on new media, and they keep establishing themselves as the K-pop kings of this generation. Now, I do think that we should cherish and appreciate BTS's dominance, because when they have to go to the ARMY, we might not see BTS for 2 years, and it's really cool to see a group just do so well and then act so humble at the same time. And I think this is what K-pop needs. Needs a group that's just a tour de force and shows that Korean music is here to stay and that Korea produces some sick pop culture. And if you're a BTS fan, it must be an awesome time to be an ARMY. And from my point of view, a K-pop journalist and video creator, I feel like a K-pop historian. I'm witnessing one of the greatest K-pop acts in pretty much music history. So again, let's appreciate BTS's peak and where they stand today, because it's quite amazing at what they're doing. Now that we talked about BTS, it's time to talk about what Mama didn't do as well. And what the Mamas didn't do so well is that they left their idol singers freezing inside their cars, while the actors invited were given rooms inside the venue. So how did this problem even start? So the show actually didn't take place in Seoul. It took place in Paju, which is an hour away from the capital. And where the Mamas took place at was the new CJ Paju studio, which is still under construction. I believe it's about 30 to 40-ish% complete and has a completion date of 2023. So it's a long way out from being completed. So Mnet decides to have one of the largest music shows in Asia. What ends up happening is that there's not enough room. And since we're living in a COVID world, you have to have ample space. So Mnet went with, hey, let's give the actors preferential treatment over the idols. I feel that's really just bad. I think Mnet could have done it better. In fact, heck, I'll come up with a solution right now. What Mnet could have done is take out a whole bunch of portable tents and stick them with heaters, like they do in restaurants, to house all the idols, instead of the idols being in their cars with the heaters turned up so they don't freeze to death outside. And I know that Mnet has the resources to pull this off, but because of some poor planning, this looked really bad. It showed that idols are being mistreated. Korea gets pretty cold. I'm not gonna lie, I've been in Korea when it's like -10 to -20 degrees Celsius. Pretty much when your face freezes off. It's not a good feeling. And I believe during the Mamas, it was 2 degrees Fahrenheit. So when international fans heard about this, and that the idols are freezing outside, this was not a good look, especially since the Mamas are appealing to an international community. International fans do take controversies like this pretty seriously, and when they see that their favorites are being mistreated, they will speak out. And in this case, the Mamas are being called out on this behavior, and it does not look good. And it sucks to have an otherwise good show be marred by this. Now let's talk about the rest of the show. I'm not gonna talk about the entire 6 hours, as this video would be way too long. So I'm just gonna highlight certain points of the show and what I thought was cool. So let's get on with it. So 3 big winners that are not named BTS are Blackpink, IU, and 17. So let's talk about Blackpink first. So the female YG group won 3 awards at this event. They won Best Female Group, Best Female Dance Performance with How You Like That, and the Worldwide Fan Choice Awards. Now Blackpink's dominance at the Mamas showed me 2 things. One, that they're not only popular in the West, but also popular in Asia. They're one of the 3 most popular female K-pop groups these days, alongside IZ*ONE and Twice. And 2, that YG can bounce back from all the negative press and drama that's been hitting the label in recent years. With Blackpink and now Treasure and a slew of other YG talent, we might see YG on a major upswing in 2021. As for IU, she continues to be one of the most famous and influential solo singers in Korea today. She won the Best Solo Performance with Blooming, she won the Best Collaborations with Suga and 8, and she won the Best Female Artist. As for 17, they also would win 3 awards. They would win the most notable achievement artist, the global favorite performer, and the Worldwide Fan Choice Award. I feel that 17 represents a new class, a new generation of male K-pop stars in the 2020s. And I feel that 17 has nowhere but to go up, as they're popular in Korea, Japan, and out west. Now, one of the highlights of the show had to see BoA, the iconic legend, the singer that's celebrating her 20th year in the K-pop industry, and a person known among the K-pop circles as the Queen of K-pop. And when I saw her performing #1 in some of her older classics, I was ecstatic, as the early to mid 2000s were the time that I was personally crazy obsessed with K-pop and where I grew up alongside BoA's music. So it pains me to say that when BoA was performing, there was some rude K-pop fans in the various live chats that I was watching them on. I saw some of these vile comments saying, "Hurry up," or "Who is this?" or "Why do we have to watch this woman?" And I'll say this to these immature K-pop fans: if you don't like a singer, that's cool, but you don't have to diss their performance. Just do something else at your house until their performance ends. Just because you're shouting at BoA to hurry up so you can see your favorite idol perform, it's just not cool. I'll even go a step further, and I know this is gonna sound a bit harsh. This is gonna sound pretty mean. I still think that as long as K-pop still has these fans in decent numbers, that it's gonna hold back K-pop. That these K-pop fans don't learn K-pop history, or Korea, or its culture, or heck, in BoA's case, iconic singers that paved the way for K-pop in 2021. Everything about K-pop in Korea just because they know their favorite bias, but they actually don't. Pretty much Korea boos. Now let's get back to a happier moment, and that's Taemin's performance. What does this guy think he's doing with all these awesome dance moves and singing? He just takes his craft to a whole new level in K-pop. The guy's been around for what, 12 years? SHINee come out in 2008? I think so. And every time I covered a SHINee or a Taemin performance, the guy always gives it his all. Whether it's from a concert to a fan meeting, you're getting some good money when you're watching his performance. And at the Mamas, whew, that dance performance was quite good. So it was really cool to see the Mamas giving Taemin that stage to perform solo, because I think a lot of K-pop fans were mesmerized by Taemin's dancing and singing ability. I know I was. It's really cool to see one of the iconic legends coming out from the second generation of K-pop and showing how it's done. So in between the most iconic K-pop groups and soloists performing, come the Rookie of the Year awards. Male group Treasure as well as female group Weeekly emerged as the Rookies of the Year. Treasure would be YG's new promising male group and become one of the biggest building blocks that YG has alongside Blackpink in making their comeback, as I mentioned earlier. Weeekly would go with the cute bubbly concept, singing about how they're teens. And after listening to some Weeekly songs, I felt that their songs had a more K-pop taste rather than trying to cater to a Western taste. And I can appreciate that. Now let's talk about the best of the rest of the show. So Mamamoo and NCT came out strong. It was really cool to see Daesang winning the Best Band Performance Award. Twice gave us a preview of their new song at the show. The 9-member group would sing the song Cry For Me. It was really cool to see Jessie doing her thing and winning the favorite dance performance for a soloist. And I have to congratulate NCT and IZ*ONE for winning the favorite male and female group awards respectively. I also noticed the show had this high production, this warlike theme during certain parts of the show. I really liked the performance between ATEEZ, The Boys, and Stray Kids. After watching the music video, I scrolled down the comments and I saw one comment that made me laugh, where some person said that Hyunjin looks like a character from the popular JRPG Final Fantasy. You know, I can agree with that. That guy has the looks. And seeing these three groups collaborate also sets up from the upcoming music reality show called Kingdom, which will be filmed in early 2021. The show has a lot of excitement, and from what I heard, has some of the most hype for an idol competition show in quite some time. Kingdom will feature idols from the 4th generation of K-pop, but the show, from what I heard, looks good, and I'll probably tune into it. I also liked how the show had a professional category to it, where they gave out awards such as the best executive, the best composer, the best choreographer, and so on. A special shout out goes out to Lumpins as the best director of the year, as I liked her work, as well as choreographer Kwang Dang. Man, I am really botching up that name. That guy has some moves as well, and I really liked his work. Moving on from that botched pronunciation, I think a lot of K-pop fans take for granted the behind the scenes work that goes on to make a successful music video or a concert. So I think it's awesome to see these people being rewarded for their hard work on a big stage such as Mama's. Now let's get on to the non-K-pop awards. And the song that won the best urban and hip-hop song was Zico's Anytime. And I think this was well-deserved. I remember the song coming out in the beginning of 2020, and when I was reading like Naver blog cafes and Naver comments, the song was definitely hype. A lot of Koreans know the song, people were singing it, there was a lot of TikTok memes. Heck, there was just a lot of memes of the song in general. The song had a lot of influence in 2020. The song is a serious banger, got a lot of non-K-pop fans liking the song, and I think that Zico's Any Song had to be the hands-down pick for the winner of this genre. And I'm glad to see Zico getting even more recognition that he gets now. Moving on to the non-Korean artists that won awards. I can definitely get behind official Hige Danism for winning Best Japanese Artist, as well as Jem winning the Best Mandarin Artist, and I listened to a couple of her songs. They're quite catchy. As for Best New Asian Artist, I got to learn quite a few new ones. We got Vietnamese artist Amy, as well as new Mandarin singer Xie Shou. With that being said, I do think, as I said earlier in the video, that the Mamas could have showcased more Asian acts. And I think for branding purposes, if Mnet wanted to keep the Mamas as the Mnet Asian Music Awards, they should probably have two shows where they have the Mnet Asian Music Awards and then the Mnet K-pop Music Awards. Or if they want to keep the Mamas to one show, they should definitely have more time for other Asian artists. Because I think if the Mamas keep doing what they're doing now, which is basically just a glorified K-pop event, a lot of people from East and Southeast Asia are going to be confused. They're just going to keep thinking, okay, well, even though it has the word Asian in the title, still just Korean music being talked about. And now, K-pop's future. What do we have to look forward to 2021? I would say this, don't sleep on the runners-up, the people that didn't win. You got new groups such as Secret Number, as well as Gravity, that look very promising. You also have established acts such as Sunmi, Baekhyun, and hip-hop singers such as Giddy Boy and Nyumda that give Korean music a strong foundation going into 2021. And of course, you have established powerhouse groups such as Twice and Mamamoo that you can never count them out. If the Mamas, as well as the Melon Music Awards the previous week showed us, is that K-pop in 2021 will be awesome. And I can't wait to hear next year's bangers. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I'd love to know your comments in the comments below. Two other things to mention. If you want real talk with no fluff on how the K-pop industry actually works, then please grab my free ebook by signing up for the email list below. And if you like what we do here at Popstory, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. It's not necessary, of course, and we're honored if you just watch our videos. But for those that do support us on Patreon, we have some cool perks waiting. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, guys.